Hey, a very good evening. It's almost morning, actually. We're coming at you guys live right now for what's remaining of March 31st, 2017. Lee Sanders here of the RCWR Show. Thank you all that are staying up late to check out my reactions to tonight's WWE 2017 Hall of Fame ceremony. What a fantastic event that it was. I definitely want to get you guys involved. So if you have watched tonight's events, feel free to chime in, post your thoughts in the chat, as this is exclusive that we're doing for you guys here on YouTube. There's probably going to be an audio version of this available, and you all will be able to check it out on the downloads this coming Tuesday. But for now, enjoy this exclusive YouTube. My way of honestly thanking you all for continuing to show the support here on YouTube, as I am continuing on with some really solid content as we're going into WrestleMania weekend, man. And don't forget, I will be coming back on here on YouTube live right after WWE TakeOver concludes. But for now, kick on back, relax. Maybe there were those of you that did not see tonight's WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, maybe work, what have you. We got your hookup. Got to tell you, man, it was long, but I couldn't help but really just marvel at a lot of the speeches that we had got. There were definitely a lot of highlights. If I had to find probably something that was maybe low, something that was kind of like, I could have really done without it. Surprisingly, there actually was one moment during the ceremony that I felt could have been a lot better, but we'll talk about that in just a second. But kick on back, relax. Make sure you give me those thumbs up, share, all that good stuff, but definitely interact. Make sure you follow me as well on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR Show. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it, man. Look, these are all my notes. I was watching the ceremony live on the WWE Network. I've got 3 pages of notes. I mean, I was kicking back and I was just jotting away, just some bullet points and all that. So things kicked off on a really fantastic note. I personally felt it kicked off with Eric Bischoff. Yes, the one and only Eric Bischoff back in the WWE as far as being seen on live WWE programming. Eric Bischoff was back in that type of fashion, was getting a lot of love from the crowd. They were welcoming him back. Eric Bischoff really taking the moment in, but also say, man, honestly, I wish that I was not here at this podium right now. Instead, I actually wish I was amongst you all watching from your perspective, because I just wish Dusty Rhodes was here. Dusty Rhodes should be here doing this, not me. I am like a distant second. And I got to tell you, probably what was really standing out to me the most for this whole ceremony, a lot of Dusty Rhodes references, and there was a lot of love for Jim Ross. A lot of people taking the time out during their speeches to recognize Jim Ross, getting a lot of love. Now, as far as was there anybody or did all of the inductees mention Jim Ross as far as, hey, thoughts and prayers to you? Honestly, the one that stood out to me was Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was actually the one. Now, maybe somebody else had said something early during the ceremony, but as far as I can recall right now, Kurt Angle was definitely the one that had sent his prayers, and he said it verbally as he was giving his acceptance speech. But those 2 names really jumped out at me for the most during this ceremony. But Eric Bischoff telling the infamous story that he's told on many podcasts, respectfully on Diamond Dallas Page upcoming DVD. If you've listened to Diamond Dallas Page enough times during his respected interviews, heck, I had the opportunity to interview Diamond Dallas Page a couple of years ago, and a lot of what he said in his acceptance speech you can actually find in a nutshell in that interview that I did with him. I think I spoke with him for like about maybe almost 30 minutes at length. I'll make sure I put a link in the video description below for you guys to check out, or those of you that's going to be checking out the audio version of this next week. I'll make sure it's included in the episode description for you guys. But, just kind of recap it a little bit. He talked about how in 1988, we saw Diamond Dallas Page. He started off as a manager for Bad Company, and Eric Bischoff just kind of like took a pause at that when he was like, now just stop and kind of think about that for a second. Just think about the size of Diamond Dallas Page back then. Diamond's like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", or whatever, big tall dude, and he weighs like 200, maybe 50 something pounds, and here he is managing these smaller guys. Like, he just looked out of place. He looked like he should have been the main attraction, basically. But he talked about how, even despite hearing some things from Ray Stevens, Wahoo McDaniels, as far as problems with Diamond being a manager, he always felt that Diamond was pretty loud, a very colorful individual, very obnoxious, but definitely somebody that he had took a strong liking to. Brought up the infamous bar fight story. Everybody knows about the infamous bar fight that went down, and then also the fight that went to the hotel. And as a result of that, that's really what had made Bischoff and Diamond become the best of friends. And I'm not really putting too much out there for you guys that maybe are looking forward to checking out DDP's DVD, because there is a DVD that he's currently producing right now under the WWE umbrella about his story and all that. It's going to be an original biography. So I would think that's probably going to be coming right before the end of summer. Fingers crossed on that one. That should be really freaking good. But he talked about the different incarnations that he had saw of Diamond, because to him, in his perspective, DDP was one of those guys. Like, once he kind of got the idea, you know what, I want to go in here and I want to do this wrestling. There were so many people that was like, dude, you're like 35, kind of going on 36. Like, nah, man, it's too late for you to be a wrestler. Are you kidding me? This late in the game? Get out of here. What are you smoking, man? Come on, be real, be serious. And Diamond just like, you would think after so many people keep saying that over and over and over again, when you have somebody telling you you can, most people would be like, nah, I guess you're kind of right. They would eventually let that break their psyche. But like, Diamond didn't do that. To the contrary, he was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to prove all of you all wrong. You're going to see. And he just honestly kept at it, man, from doing the Diamond Mine to doing Diamond Stud with Scott Hall and all that. And then what he was doing with Kimberly Page there, respectfully, when he eventually had became a color commentator. And I love how everything kind of came full circle as Bischoff was talking about this. And this little part I actually did not know, because it really wasn't covered like that on Eric Bischoff's DVD, respectfully. And I've watched it multiple times now. But Eric Bischoff had candidly talked about during the setup for DDP how when he saw that his time in AWA was about to come to an end, and he tried to do the infamous audition for Vince McMahon, tried to sell a broom, it didn't work out so well. He was in dire need of a job. He was trying to do everything he could to support his family, and he heard that WCW, they had needed a little bit of help, and he wanted, by any means necessary, he wanted to go in there and he wanted to secure that job. So he went down there. He was trying out for a color commentating position. And guess who was basically his audition partner, basically who was helping him get set up for his big audition? It was none other than DDP. So it's interesting how everything just kind of came back full circle. And he basically took that time out as he was setting up DDP to say, honestly, man, you have no idea how that particular moment right there, how like I've just been so appreciative of that, because there's just no telling how my career would have ended up. So I really have to thank you for taking me under your wing and really showing me the ropes when I got over there to WCW. But pretty much talked about how once Diamond got that bug to want to wrestle, honestly, between doing the color commentating, if he wasn't with the production team, he would be down at the power plant. If he wasn't going to the next WCW live event or whatever, traveling, he was always going to the power plant, putting in his respected training. Just basically saying the guy was pretty much relentless when it was all said and done. And pretty much, you've been following the career of DDP. You know the rest is history, as they say. So pretty much, we saw Diamond come out, saw beautiful girls that had accompanied him to the ring. I was like, all right, Diamond Dallas Page and his Diamond Dolls. All right, but no, these were his Diamond daughters. These were legitimately his daughters. I mean, talk about luck. Not one daughter, not two daughters. I don't even think it was three daughters. Was it four daughters, guys? It was either three daughters or four daughters. You're like, wow, that's like that's badass, man. And I say that in the most respectful way, but like at the same time, I'm kind of going because every single male friend that I have known over the years, they've always like, man, I hope it's a boy. I hope it's a boy. Now, they're going to love the kid regardless, but they want at least one son. So when they get one girl, it's like, I want that son. They try it again, they get another girl, and it's like, come on, let's try it again. We can do this. And you get a third girl, and usually after that, some people are like, nah, that's okay. I'm content. It's all good. But some people want to keep trying. But yeah, beautiful daughters though, man. They were simply gorgeous, I must say, beautifully stunning. Some would get their looks from their dad. You could definitely tell a lot of them get their looks from their mother, respectfully. But we saw Diamond Dallas Page. He came out and he talked about a lot of people. There are a lot of people that he took the time out to thank. He thanked Captain Lou. He thanked Jesse Ventura. He thanked Jody Hamilton, Jake Roberts, who he said was like his ultimate mentor. Anybody that has taken the time out to listen respectfully to a Diamond Dallas Page interview, even my interview for that matter with him a while back, he has always, this is like before, you can even go as far back as before he had started helping out Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts was always one of the guys that he would go to. And when everybody else didn't want to take the time out to check out tapes of his matches, try to help him figure out what's working, what's not working, basically offer him some constructive criticism. And it's a lost art that's gone today, quite honestly, in every single respected medium, even what I'm doing for you guys every single week. It's a lost art of, hey, look, can you do me a solid? Can you check this out? Can you tell me what's working? Can you tell me what's not working? How I can improve it? You know, help me out. Almost gone are those days. We're now in this day and age where rather than inspire and rather than try to uplift people, try to encourage people to do better, we're in a day and age right now where a lot of big bad keyboard warriors are saying a lot of negative BS crap that honestly, maybe you could say they're juvenile, but honestly, you just have some people that just want to be big bad keyboard warriors. That's just the way that it is. But even as an artist will meet people that'll hate their artwork and not offer like constructive feedback as far as like why it is they don't like it, how their future pieces of art can be improved, things of that nature. But Jake Roberts to DDP, on the contrary, DDP would sit with Jake and they would dissect like every single frame, what Diamond was doing right, what he was doing wrong, what he needed to do it, what he needed to do respectfully the next go round. And he always appreciated that, really looked at him as a mentor. He also took the time to thank Steven Regal. Yes, I did say that right. He said it same as well, Steven Regal, Johnny Laurinaitis, Ron Reese, who basically, as we found out, and this was actually kind of new to me because I didn't really hear this before, Ron Reese is a name y'all should really pay attention to because he's the originator of the Diamond Cutter sign. Basically, at the power plant one day, Reese was like, hey, Diamond, you ever think about maybe doing this kind of like as a gesture to the fans to kind of get them in on the action, make them be part of, you know, what you're getting ready to do, you know, just kind of, you know, build your following. And he was like, my God, that is so freaking ingenious. And like, because of that little symbol, like that's one, and not to mention that pretty ass diamond cutter. I mean, that kept him relevant for like so many years. And we know his career very well. Those of us that have followed him in WCW, the infamous match where, you know, you had Karl Malone, Hulkster, Dennis Rodman, you know, himself in there, giving WCW one of their highest rated pay-per-views of all time. We know all about all that. He also took the time out to thank respectfully, you know, once again, Jake Roberts, not to mention Scott Hall, Chris Jericho, AJ Styles, Mick Foley. I mean, he basically took the opportunity to thank every single body that worked with him in his respected DDP yoga program. I love how he took just an extra couple of minutes to talk about Chris Jericho, telling the story about, in a nutshell, how Chris Jericho's back went out on him like 5 years ago, and he just like wasn't sure if he was going to be able to continue to wrestle. And Diamond sent him some stuff and was like, look, this is what you need to do. And Jericho was kind of, but when he showed him the video and all that of that one guy that was morbidly obese and was on crutches, and he ended up losing 140 pounds, ditched the crutches, and he's running, Jericho was like, okay, tell me any and everything that I need to do. And here Jericho is now. What is he? 44, 45, or 46, and he's still going out there tearing it up every single week, almost as white hot as he was when he first debuted in the WWE. Almost. And I want to put a strong asterisk by that. Almost. So just a really great opening speech. Said some really good things. I liked his speech. He really took the time to thank people, really try to make those huge acknowledgments. Didn't really take up that much time. He pretty much, according to my records here, he took up about 30 minutes worth of time. So we're still in the 8 o'clock hour, respectively. So by like 8:45 p.m. Eastern, that was pretty much it. From there, we pretty much go to our next setup, which was the one and the only Jim Cornette introducing the Rock and Roll Express into this year's WWE Hall of Fame. And I love how Jim Cornette had acknowledged that he's in front of a freaking live microphone and just kind of teasing like, what could possibly come out of his mouth. But for those of you, come on, I think in retrospect, we all knew that Jim Cornette was not going to be saying anything like, oh my God, like, no, we just knew it wasn't going to go there. I think as soon as a lot of us had heard that Jim Cornette was going to be inducting the Rock and Roll Express, it was kind of like, wow, well, I guess Cornette and WWE kind of patched things up respectfully, because, wow, hell has kind of froze over to like a certain extent, right? So you're like, okay, well, this is pretty badass. But Cornette's speech went exactly as you thought it would go, which is it's not about him and whatever personal beef that he might have had with certain people in the WWE. This was about the Rock and Roll Express. And I love the nice throwback stories that he was telling and setting them up, basically talking about how it was really Jerry the King Lawler that had got this thing rolling with these guys respectfully, and how they were tearing it up with Cowboy Bill Watts over in Mid-South Wrestling. And you got to understand, way back then, the fans around those respective regions, they grew up on these guys long before they became the Rock and Roll Express. And once they kind of got to that point where, okay, now you're stringing it all together. Now you guys are kind of like the perfect, you got it all together. Y'all are now on point. Y'all are now perfect. By then, it was like the fans, they grew up watching those guys for so many years. They pretty much had saw any and everything. So honestly, the timing to go over to Cowboy Bill Watts and, do their thing in Mid-South Wrestling, the timing of that was really great because it gave them an opportunity, to branch out, see new fans, experience new reactions, and then the fact that they were able to go to different territories, travel various cities, that was also pretty good as well, because to a certain extent, yeah, they could get away doing the same thing twice, but they were definitely learning what was working, what wasn't working, all that. And I got to tell you, when I look at guys like Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels, the Rockers, I was always reminded of the Rock and Roll Express, respectfully. So for me, this was definitely a really good moment to see, respectfully, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson going into the Hall of Fame. Cornette's speech did not disappoint. He took about maybe 20 minutes of time to talk about them. for the old school wrestling fan that remembers the AWA days, that remembers, Jim Crockett Promotions and all that, just to hear in this 20-minute time span of Jim Cornette, really going back to those territorial days. I would hope, if anything, it would really make you want to go check out some kayfabe commentaries and check out Cornette's Back to the Territories series. I love it. I own a couple of those, and it's fucking fantastic. You all would not be disappointed. Check it out when you guys get the opportunity. But I can hear Cornette talk for freaking hours. Just the mind that he has, like, it's like, tell me more, But for me, if there was any way of saying this nicely, and I'm going to sugarcoat this, if there was any moment during the Hall of Fame ceremony that came off like a Debbie Downer, it honestly was this induction speech. Because respectfully, and look, I've always been a big fan of Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, but I got to tell you, they came off to me very unprepared. Now, there is all the fans, they're really getting to you. They're throwing you off. You rehearsed and everything, but like the fans, just the atmosphere, now that it's actually happening, rehearsals is over, it's actually going down. You're kind of like at a loss for words. But they really came off to me like they really did not do their very best in prepping. And the reason why I say that, many times during their speech, they struggled to try to figure out, okay, what are we going to say next? I mean, you can just see the guys respectfully. Well, Ricky, I remember, I remember when, my God, I don't lost my place. I think you're supposed to be right there. Right here? There. Yeah, I remember. And I just was like, man, you got to seize that opportunity. Like, look, I don't know anything about being inducted. I'm sure many of you all probably don't know anything about being inducted, but just my 2 cents from a distance, and I think all of us can kind of say, yeah, sure. But like, when you can't remember all this, then it's time for you to just like look straight ahead and just speak from the heart. I mean, how much time you respectively have been given to do your speech. Just throw the papers out and just speak from the heart, because this is your moment. And these type of moments probably only come once in a lifetime. It is equivalent to like, when you get married. Not everybody is going to have a situation where they get married 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Some people, it's like they get married once and that's it. The point that I'm making is, you can get married all you want, but you're always going to remember, like, for the most part, unless it was just brutally bad, you're going to remember that like first time that you get married, especially if it was just a really nice, awesome ceremony and you went off and had a nice honeymoon and all that afterwards. And you know what they always say? You can't redo your wedding. You only get one shot to make that right impression. And like, if you don't do it, you're going to be regretting for years to come. So it doesn't matter if on your 5th anniversary or on your 10th wedding anniversary, it don't matter. You're always going to remember that first rodeo round. So I really wish that Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson really would have just, at that point, just ditch the paperwork, just speak from the heart. And even right down to the point they were trying to tell these jokes, and I'm just sitting there and I'm just going, my God, boys, you're fumbling through this. Just ditch the papers, man. Just ditch them. Just speak from the heart. And I tell you what, it seemed like after about, let me see, I'm looking at my notes here. It looks like they spoke respectfully for about, yeah, it looks like they spoke respectfully for about, I would say, almost 25 minutes. It seemed like after the first 10 minutes, they kind of finally just started going with the flow and, trying to speak from the heart. Little by little, you saw them like more and more kind of get away from the papers. And I'm kind of like, that's how you do it. Just, stay away from the papers from the get-go. But there really wasn't anything there for me to really sink my teeth into with the speech that they gave. Probably the one thing that stood out to me the most, which was hilarious and also true at the same time, was when they basically said, "Man, the fact that we're going in to the Hall of Fame this weekend and this WrestleMania weekend, man, our asking price is going to go up big time on the independent circuit," and that got a nice hearty chuckle out of the fans in attendance, as well as WWE staff and all that, management, talent, and all that. That was a good little spot, but honestly, I mean, I gotta ask you all, for you all respectfully, was that maybe if you had to go back and you watch the ceremony in its entirety, if you had to go back and point out what was probably like one of the weakest moments in the ceremony, would you maybe, sadly, would you maybe go with the Rock and Roll Express? I'd like to hear you all's thoughts on that respectfully. But other than that, moving right along. Hey, by the way, hope you guys are enjoying the stream so far. We are like almost halfway done. Are we? Yeah, we don't already got two Hall of Fame inductions out the way. We only got like a couple of more to go, so we're doing pretty good. If you're enjoying the stream so far, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Keep the interactions going. I'm seeing what you all are saying in the chat so far. No, Phoenix Star 5000. Beth Phoenix did not get booed. She did not get booed. And I understand this was China's year, but you're actually going to be very, very taken back by some of the things that I have to say with regards to Beth Phoenix. So we'll get to that in just a second. Let's continue on. So we ended up talking about the Rock and Roll Express. Next up, we have respectfully. Oh yeah, this was probably one of the shortest inductions, according to my notes here. Ravishing Rick Rude, him going into the Hall of Fame. Great setup by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I love the stories that he had told. Was very familiar with those stories, quite honestly. I didn't hear anything new, but I'm sure for those that maybe didn't see it before, it was probably nice hearing that. But we saw the surviving family members of Ravishing Rick Rude come out to accept the induction on behalf of the late Rick Rude. And it was nice hearing the son come out there and he was like, "All right, cut the music." I mean, he sounded just like his dad. It looks just like him too, only he's clean shaven and he has the short hair. But I mean, other than that, looks damn spot on, just like his dad. And it was nice how the son, he did the talking for the family. I mean, the wife was there, widow. The daughter was there as well. But he did the talking respectfully for the entire family. And he did some nice little proper setup and trying to introduce fans to the guy behind the character. Let you know how he loved to go fishing and talk about how big of a heart he had, things of that nature. That was actually very touching. It was really nice to hear that. That was actually the shortest induction speech of all, quite honestly. That was the shortest speech of all. I had the family through the son talking respectfully, honestly, for almost 10 minutes, believe it or not, for almost 10 minutes. Didn't get any shorter than that, folks. Moving along, from there, I got about at the 9:50 p.m. Eastern mark, Natalia, she had set up the introduction for introducing Beth Phoenix. Now, y'all need to be paying attention to this for those of you that had missed it here. So, Natty talked about how one of the first times she heard about Beth Phoenix, it was actually through Mark Henry. And Mark Henry said to her, "You know who you look like?" It was like actually Natty's like first time, I think, in the WWE, and it was like her first time running into Mark Henry. And Mark was like, "You know who you look like?" Didn't say hello to her or anything like that. He just was like, "You know who you look like?" And she's like, "Who?" And he's like, "You look like Beth Phoenix." And she's like, "Who the hell is Beth Phoenix?" So back in those days, MySpace was still a pretty popular thing. So she ended up looking up this girl and found like, wow, this is like my twin. What the hell? And apparently, like over the years, right down to when she first saw her through MySpace or whatever, was wearing like some of the same outfits that she wore. One of the first times she met Beth and Phoenix, they were wearing like the same damn attire and everything. And sure enough, one of the true first times that she had any type of interaction with Beth Phoenix, it was through social media. And Beth has sent her a message And the way that they connected, the way that they bonded instantly, she basically said, I have been a wrestling fan, since I was a kid. And honestly, one of the first people that I came to really love and appreciate was your uncles, Bret Hart and Owen Hart. And I got such a nice, great pop from the crowd, especially for Owen. And Natty just talked candidly about how she's always looked at Beth as, not only a best friend, but also as a sister. And you could genuinely feel the love that Beth has for Natty. And I got the names mixed up. I apologize humbly, guys. You could genuinely feel the love that Natty has for Beth Phoenix. It was a really touching, moving moment right there as she had set up her bestie, Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix would come out. Really did not take that much time. Beth Phoenix talked for about almost 20, kind of close to 25 minutes. And I got to tell you, I was on the RCWR show several weeks back, and one of the things that I had said respectfully about Beth Phoenix going into the WWE Hall of Fame, and if you guys don't believe me, you can actually go back and check out the audio clip that's here on my channel right now. Just look under RCWR Show radio excerpts, and you can find it that way. It's also on Epic Sports Channel, respectively, as well, as they upload some exclusive clips from the show. In case you're not able to check it out weekly, you should check it out weekly if you love the talk of all wrestlings and beyond. Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com live. If you can't check it out, I have it available on many listening platforms. But Beth Phoenix, I said several weeks back when it was first announced that she was going to be going into the Hall of Fame, I said, you know what? Yeah, it might be a little bit too soon, but remember what I also said? I said, when it comes to the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, this is respectfully the time for us wrestling fans to put aside our differences, come together that one night out of the year to recognize these individuals that played some part in our lives growing up as a wrestling fan, for the entertainment standpoint, etc. We should be able to come together and just basically root them on. But I was also pretty candid. I said, honestly, if Beth Phoenix is going to be doing this, what I was going to be looking for in particular with regards to her speech was going to be her paying it forward in a way where she recognizes the other women that helped put her in this position to get into the Hall of Fame, but also recognize the women that were there before her. And I told you all, if Beth Phoenix goes that route, she will earn, like, even for me, I will give her even more respect. It was never a case about me having any type of respect. The respect for her was always there. It never wavered. I simply said weeks back, what I'm looking for in this speech is for her to deliver, put over the girls that helped her along the way, and put over certain individuals that honestly should have the WWE getting the ball rolling possibly for next year to induct in the Hall of Fame. And Beth Phoenix's speech was probably one of the strongest of the night for me, as far as I was concerned. If I had to point out one speech that was like, that's it. If you did not watch tonight's ceremony and I had to single out one speech that was like, you got to see this, Beth Phoenix delivered on so many fronts. And I was very proud of her, respectfully. I love how she brought up her early humbling beginnings, really thanking her grandmother. And by the way, kudos to a majority of the people that were going into the Hall of Fame tonight. All of them used my favorite taboo word. I love that word. You know what that word is? They used the word wrestling. Marinate on that for a few ticks. Not only did they say wrestling, a lot of them said pro wrestling, professional wrestling. I love that. I love that. Only with the Hall of Fame ceremony can you get away with that. But Beth Phoenix giving a lot of props to her first love being wrestling. Honestly saying it wouldn't have been possible without her late grandmother. She could remember watching wrestling with her grandmother. She was such a young little girl. They would be watching WCW mostly. And she remembers the critical moment that came where she decided, you know what? This is something like I want to be doing when I get older. Her moment came WrestleMania 10, Brett taking on Owen Hart. That was pretty much it. That's what had her say, I got to get involved in this. I got to be involved in this. It was a great moment right there, respectfully. Also, she had talked about respectfully how one of the times that she came in, do a little bit of training for the WWE, there were so many people that honestly had took her under their wing. She showed a lot of love to the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, Molly Holly. She also had gave a nice plug to Danny Davis from OVW. I hope somewhere down the road, maybe Danny Davis gets to go into the WWE Hall of Fame, or at least maybe he gets to go into the legacy wing, because I tell you, I'd be here all night going over some names from OVW, and you're thinking Danny Davis, and it's like, wait, yeah, Lee, Danny Davis probably should go into the WWE Hall of Fame at some point. But great speech, really touching, emotional moment came during her speech where she had talked about how Molly Holly played such an integral part in her early career as a pro wrestler. There was a situation where she didn't have enough money for ring attire. And Molly Holly was so awesome. Like, she actually gave her like a box of some old ring gear that she was no longer using. And Beth had pretty much adopted that. Now, fast forward just a little bit more, and Danny Davis had really loved her work and was like, you know what, you need a little bit of fine tuning, but you know what? Won't you come on down to OVW? We can get you up and ready. You know, we can get you where you need to be. I see a lot of potential in you. So Beth was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. Sure, what the hell? So she packed her life up as she knew it, and she went on down there to was it Kentucky, and went to OVW. And she was supposed to make a security deposit for like $100. And she goes to Danny Davis and she's like, you know, here you go, here's $100. And Danny's like, oh, no. Oh, you want to pay? Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So as he gives her her receipt, you know, Beth is like, wait a minute now. Hey, Mr. Davis, this is like too many zeros. I think you made a mistake. And Danny Davis is like, no, no mistake was made. Your whole tuition for your training here and all that at OVW, it's been paid off. You're good. You had a secret donor. And like, she didn't know for the longest time, but she found out eventually that that person that paid off her whole ride there at OVW, it was none other than Molly Holly. And you're like, wow, talk about like, that's classy. That is like an awesome moment. She also had put over Lance Storm, Bruce Pritchard, Al Snow, Paul Heyman, Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer, she really homed in on, calling him the champion of the little guy or the underdog. Never, you know, never like wavering in his beliefs. Like, if he loved you, he would do everything he could to go to bat for you. And there were definitely many times that Dreamer would go to bat for her respectfully. She also took the time out to pretty much thank every single woman that worked with her from her time in OVW right on through her time on the WWE roster. She put over Gail Kim. She put over Tracy Brooks. She put over Cherry, Melina, Maria Kanellis, Nikki and Brie Bella, Vicky Guerrero, Tamina Snuka, Michelle McCool, Layla, Kelly, Alicia Fox, Eve Torres, Trish Stratus, Candice Michelle, Mickey James. She even had put over Santino. And for me, respectfully, I loved hearing all of those names brought up, but the one name that stood out to me the most that she recognized, and in her nice, own quiet way, she didn't have to say that much more. Just the fact that she set it up the way that she did, and she mentioned the ninth wonder of the world, China, and it got a standing ovation. That was enough to let you know that two things. One, China recognizes the women that kind of came before her, for sure, China. And number two, she also, in her nice own respected way, is kind of letting you know China needs to be in the Hall of Fame. She didn't have to do too much because look, I think honestly, if she would have hijacked it in a way where it's like China needs to go into the Hall of Fame, I think honestly, the last thing Beth wants to do is alienate the higher ups in the WWE, especially since they hope to Edge, that is, have some type of a continued relationship with the WWE. But just the nice finesse that she did with setting up China, getting the reactions from the crowd and all that, I loved it. I thought it was a really damn good spot. And honestly, I think I would hope that it gets the ball rolling with WWE to seriously think about at some point having China, or as I mentioned several weeks back, Luna. My God, I'd be here all night just going over the people that, female wise, that should be going in respectfully. But just the fact that she name dropped China like that, I loved it. Wasn't just a name drop and moved it along. I mean, just for her to go a step further and say, "Hey, I never did meet Joni, but the little bit that I had heard about her, she was such a great, empowering person. Not to mention, she was the first ever woman to get involved in a Royal Rumble match. I mean, that was really awesome. Just the way that she had set that up. So, for me, honestly, I love that. I love that. I hope at some point China does go in, but just the fact that Beth Phoenix took those nice, quiet little shots. I mean, you got to actually read the transcript of what Beth Phoenix had said when she set up all of those girls that I just mentioned, and then she went right into China. You got to kind of like read in between the lines, because if you're just reading just to be reading it, you're like, okay, oh, all right, oh, nice, But if you're actually reading it and boom, it comes to you, she did a really nice, good job with that. Still looks great too, man. I mean, she's kind of lost just a little bit of bulk, but I mean, come on, what do you expect? She's a mother, so she probably can't really get into training as much as she used to, but she still looks gorgeous. She still has a decent body as far as I'm concerned. Looks like she can still throw it down, quite honestly. She still got the guns. I was amazed that she still had the guns. And I love the spot with Edge. I thought that was awesome because, like, one of the last people that she thanked was Adam. And she was like, you guys probably know him better as. And we saw Tony Chimmel come out. And Tony's like, no, 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 no. I think the way you mean to introduce him, and he just goes into the rated R superstar. I love that spot. That was a really fucking awesome spot. Edge having a nice hearty laugh, and anybody that doesn't get it by now, Edge has always professed his love about how he loves hearing his interest music, but one of his highlights is when he gets to hear Tony Chimmel introduce him. There's just something he loves about the way he says the rated R superstar that just always has him hearty, busting up, laughing, and all that. So they did that for him. That was a nice little spot. And I'm trying to think. Beth Phoenix said a couple of other things to close it out, but she had a really nice, good speech. I love that. Another moment that had came was Dana Warrior, who introduced the Warrior Award to Eric LeGrand. Yes, Trexter. Yeah. I did read Gail Kim. I did say Gail Kim is in there during Beth Phoenix speech. I'm pretty sure I did mention Gail Kim. But just to go over that list again, Gail Kim, Tracy Brooks, Cherry, Melina, Maria, Nikki, Brie Bella, Vicky Guerrero, Tamina, Michelle McCool, Layla, Kelly, Alicia Fox, Eve, Trish Stratus, Candice Michelle, Mickey James, Eve Torres, Santino, China, Edge. Now, look, if I'm missing somebody out of that list, I can only do but so much, respectfully. I'm not going to stop every. She mentioned a whole damn load of people. Let's just say it like that. All right, let's move it along. Dana Warrior introducing Eric LeGrand for the recipient of the Warrior Award. Look, I got to tell you, first off, Dana Warrior, my God, she is gorgeous. She really is. And kudos to her. It's been 3 years now, and she's still going out there. I was watching this with my girl, and I told her, I said, she was married to Warrior for so long. That's a tough act to follow. You think about the widow of Martin Luther King Jr., she never remarried. And it's like, where do you go after Martin Luther King? I mean, seriously, think about it. Where do you go after that? I mean, she had every right, but like, where do you go after that? So it's a tough act to follow for Dana Warrior, who I'm not saying she's a hopeless romantic right now. As many years as she was married to the Ultimate Warrior, it could be 5 years from now. It could be 10 years from now. She's going to be feeling that for some years to come. But I tell you what, she looked so beautiful in her dress tonight, and I love how everything had coordinated respectfully with the Warrior trophy. I had loved that. That was a great little spot. And I also had loved how, honestly, her speech, she looked as though she wanted to break a couple of times, like break down in tears, but she was holding it together. I got to say, this is the best that she has come off giving a speech so far. This is like her third rodeo doing these speeches. And I also got to give her a lot of credit. This speech that she did this year was very short. I got Homegirl clocking in at about almost 10 minutes. So she really did not take that much time, man. So that was pretty freaking awesome. That was pretty freaking awesome. I mean, she did really freaking good with her speech this go round. And it was interesting because when you went on this journey with her speech, you couldn't help but figure out, like, okay, where is she going with this speech? Because she was talking about these colorful characters, and she was talking about an evil queen, and then they did a shot to Stephanie McMahon, and the crowd starts booing, and then at one point she says, whose house is this, or who's the man? And she does the pointing, and the camera goes to Triple H, and Triple H is kind of looking like, I can't believe he just kind of said that. What the hell? But like, you're wondering where exactly is her speech going, and then somehow it ties into the Ultimate Warrior, and you're going, okay, I'm kind of there. Now, how does this go into Eric LeGrand? And finally, like, after you go on this journey of a speech where you're not really sure where it's going, you're there because it's Dana Warrior, and you're like, I like her. She's cool. She's cute. She's got a nice, bubbly, empowering personality. Let's go there. But man, where are you taking me? I'm kind of worried on this journey. But eventually it was like, oh, okay, nice. Me and my girl were watching this speech, and we were like, where is she going with this? Where's the point? And she finally went there, and I was really happy when she finally went there. But she did a nice setup for Eric LeGrand, and I tell you, after Eric LeGrand had came out, set up his speech, how could you not, like, because I heard so many people that were like, why is this guy getting the award? Like, blah, 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 blah. But honestly, say to yourselves for a second, after seeing him come out, give his acceptance to this award, how could you hate the guy respectfully? How could you hate the guy respectfully? Because here is a guy who passionately has been a WWE/WWF fan. I mean, this guy was taking us down memory lane, and I honestly could have heard this guy talk all night. He was truly a delight. I loved his personality. I loved how he talked about how, like, 2 years ago, he had the opportunity to go on the Joe DeFranco show, and Joe DeFranco, the trainer of Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon. And Joe DeFranco had him on his show and was like, "Hey, I hear you're a big wrestling fan." And Eric's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've been following the WWE product in particular for a lot of years now. I go way back with that." And Joe surprised him at the end of that very podcast slash radio episode. Triple H came on and talked to him over the phone, and that made his day. And they've pretty much been friends ever since. Like shortly after that had went down, him and his friends were able to actually go to SummerSlam at the Barclays Center, and they've pretty much been friends like ever since then. And that's how Triple H and crew found out about this Eric LeGrand little program that he's doing. And I got to tell you, hearing Eric LeGrand's story in his own words, and just what really, really touched the hell out of me, he mentioned one name in particular that just made me, I was like, oh man, that got to me. Christopher Reeves. I have always been a big, big fan of Christopher Reeves. Who hasn't been a fan of Christopher Reeves? But like for me, it goes beyond Superman. I remember him in the Children of the Corn movie. There was also a movie that he had did back in the late 70s that I believe, I want to say he maybe had directed. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I've seen it, many years since I've seen it. But it had the black dude from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He played like some type of pimp or whatever. And I believe Christopher Reeve's character had played a reporter. And basically, he decided he was going to take on the assignment of what it was like for, I think, what was it like for the life of a hooker or something like that, or being a drug fiend, or he was doing some type of reporting. This was an actual movie. And I remember just kind of looking at that, and I did not think about Superman when I first saw it. I just was like, wow, this guy's really taking in this respected character. Yeah, Avery Brooks. Avery Brooks, that's who it was, Avery Brooks. I don't know the name of the movie, but it looked as though it came out maybe in the mid to late 70s, possible early 80s. But he's done some really good stuff that always over the years it gets overlooked by most fans. Unless you're like a hardcore fan and you've pretty much like seen every single thing that he did, everybody just thinks Superman. But when he had that accident and it put him in the wheelchair, and you remember that fight that he took up that mantle and was like, I want to try to end paralysis. I want to be the person that leads serious discussion, leads the talks going in medical breakthrough research and, repairing spines. I want people to walk again, all that. And I tell you, sometimes I think it's good that Christopher Reeves passed when he did, because everybody should know that has followed the career of Christopher Reeves. Him and Robin Williams were the best of friends. And if anybody remembers, there was like an infamous interview that Robin Williams had gave where he had said how he was over at Christopher Reeves' house and he swore he had saw Christopher Reeves' foot move. And for him, that was a sign that one day Reeves was going to walk again or something like that. But Reeves, that was something very passionate to his heart that he tried to take up respectfully, that he wanted Congress to really look into, try to get some medical research done. And just when he was starting to scratch the surface, he had passed away. So to hear Eric LeGrand pretty much say, I'm now trying to pick up that mantle and I'm trying to be that torchbearer. Hopefully we can get something going this lifetime. That really touched the hell out of me. And I just was like, wow, how can I like not like this guy? This guy is like fucking badass, especially when he was going down memory lane of some of his awesome moments in wrestling. And he singled out the Attitude Era too. I really had loved that. That was a really great speech, man. Really great speech. He really didn't take up that much time either. He talked for like about 15 minutes. APA, They livened up the mood. I thought their placement was perfect. You know, when you got APA, you know, John Bradshaw Layfield, you know he's going to be bringing it. And he brought it during his speech as they were setting up Teddy Long. I love the stories that they told, the infamous story of how they were on the interstate driving and they got pulled over, and supposedly Teddy Long had got a ticket for failing a breathalyzer test or whatever like that. That was a nice little spot that they had did. I love how they actually went more in a serious direction though, where John talked about the words of Dr. King, where hopefully one day a time would come where a man wouldn't be judged by the color of his skin, but really the content of his character and all that. And I love how they were sharing some intimate stories about Teddy Long, how he was arrested at his place of employment where he was a radio disc jockey for the color of his skin. He was there when there was an explosion that went off, and 4 little black girls were killed as a result of that explosion. I mean, he went through some serious crap, but you gotta feel like when you just hear the story of Teddy Long, respectfully, to hear about this guy's upbringing in Alabama, and then to hear how he just started off as just a guy that just loved wrestling, and an opportunity came one day where a champion for what was it, the Georgia Championship Wrestling Promotion, had needed some help, needed to be driven around somewhere. Teddy Long volunteered, hooked him up, and it pretty much had put him in a position where like he was able to get a backstage peek in all the cool stuff that was going on with the boys in the back. But like the access he was having, he soon started noticing people were looking at him kind of like, what the hell are you doing back here? And so he just starts, all right, let me just do something just so I can be doing something constructive, kind of have them take their eyes off of me. He just starts finding stuff to do, taking out the trash, or I don't know, freaking mopping the floor, sweeping or whatever, and being a gopher. Somebody needed some food, somebody needed to be driven around somewhere. He would do that. He'd grab the ring attire at the ring, take it to the back or whatever. I mean, this guy was paying some serious dues, and he wasn't even getting paid. Even when he started helping out with setting up the ring, he wasn't getting paid. He had his own 6-year-old kid helping him set up rings one day, and he wasn't getting paid. He didn't get paid for like the first month. So to go from all of that, then one night he's told, hey, we got a wrestling match. We don't have a referee. We need a referee badly. You're the referee. And the very first match that he gets, he has to referee a Texas death match between, of all people, Butch Reed, right? He's got to do it with Butch Reed, and I forgot who the other guy. Oh, no. Correction, Black Bart. Good thing I got my notes here. Black Bart and Ron Bass. I keep meaning to look up that damn match too. I've only seen highlights of it over the years. Maybe in anticipation of WrestleMania, I'll probably check that out. But there he is, into the fire. And then he goes from that to having some beers with some friends, and they're able to figure out he's got some talking chops because he lets them in on how he used to do DJ work. So they find out, wow, this guy can actually talk. Next thing you know, he becomes a manager. He manages Doom. He manages Mark Mero. Eventually he comes to the WWE. He's doing the referee thing for like a year. Vince McMahon kind of realizes the hard way, holy crap, all this time I had you like right up under me and I didn't realize it. Okay, we're going to make you a manager, man. Like, that's what's up. We're going to make you a manager. And he's doing this thing with Roddy Mack, White Boy Challenge, Mark Jindrak, Mark Henry, Jazz. My God, so many people that he had managed. Christopher Nowinski, so many people that he managed during his tenure there in the WWE, man. But to become the longest reigning TV character, as far as being a SmackDown general manager for 9 years. I can't believe 9 years. I mean, just when you look at that incredible journey, I couldn't help but just be like, damn, Teddy Long, that's what's up. It was nice hearing his acceptance speech and all that. And he was very, very thankful for the McMahons for presenting to him the opportunity that they presented to him. He realized the position that they were putting him in, and he honestly wanted to do everything in his power to make sure that he had hit a home run. He did not want to disappoint them in any type of fashion. So, honestly, I couldn't feel any more happier and prouder for this moment that Teddy Long was able to have, and the fact that his entire body of work was being recognized, not to mention being recognized while he's still alive. He still has good health, and it all went down in front of his family. I mean, what more could you ask for a guy? And I got to tell you, while I'm talking about Teddy Long, I just want to cut real quick, and I want to show you guys something. Now, those of you that's going to be checking out the audio and the downloads, you're not going to be able to see this, so I have to talk about it in detail. But you guys need to check this out when you all get a chance. In case you didn't hear me, you all need to check this out when you get a chance. I highly recommend this. I actually reviewed this a good while back, but it's the Teddy Long shoot interview that was conducted by RF Video. If you're a real true fan of Teddy Long and you want to know a little bit more about his story, I mean, you pretty much had got like the short version of it. But if you want to hear a lot more cool stories, you make sure you pick this up. It's a really great DVD by RF Video. You won't be disappointed. Check it out. You can thank me later. And I do have the review for that. It's on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well when you guys get a chance. All right, so other than that, we had the Legacy inductees. It went as follows. Hackstakes. That is a funny ass name. Hackstakes Calhoun, Judy Garble, Beercat Wright, Farmer Barnes, Luther Lindsay, June Byers, Toots Mont, Dr. Jerry Graham, Rikizi Don. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name right. Those were all your people that went into the Legacy West Wing. We only got one more induction to talk about, and I damn sure don't really need any paperwork to talk about this. I can actually just freaking toss this because I don't need it now. So John Cena setting up Kurt Angle. I gotta tell you, it was kind of interesting how the fans had came in, and I tell you, as far as the fans tonight, great energy, great crowd that we had got, really giving it up. Did it kind of feel like they were hijacking the show at some points? No, it didn't, quite honestly. I mean, when it's all said and done, you're feeding into the moment, and I'm honestly glad that the fans were able to be vocal. I'm quite sure WWE kind of looked at that silly little rule that they had tried to imply over the years where, oh, everybody that's here at the ceremony, you need to be silent, and you can't really be jumping up and down and yelling and shouting because you could possibly be ejected. It just kind of seemed like they threw that out the window. I would actually, to the point, be shocked if they actually were trying to tell fans tonight to try to be respectful, try to be as quiet as humanly possible, just applause when the occasion arises. I'd be shocked if they tried to go that route, but they really didn't come off to me as though they were hijacking. I know Roman Reigns had got some boos. I really didn't take it anything personal. I think it was just one of those deals where honestly, they're just thinking ahead to WrestleMania. Same thing when John Cena came out. For the fans to chant for Miz, I mean, let's go Cena, and then they're chanting, let's go Miz. Basically, Miz kicked John Cena's ass. I love that. That was freaking hilarious. I loved it. It's little things like that that really makes the ceremony worthwhile, because after all, yes, it is about these people that's being inducted to be recognized respectfully by their peers. But for the fans that are paying this ridiculous amounts of money to try to take part in these ceremonies, it's a special moment for them as well, and they want to be as vocal as they want to be, and that's their god-given right. You pay that money, that's your right. You should be able to do that, man. So John Cena to come out, and the tone that he basically set, and he really respectfully did not even go that route as far as like his early upbringings in the WWE and Kurt Angle pretty much first opponent and all. No, he really didn't go that route. Instead, the route he decided to go with his speech, which was very short. He only took up about like maybe 7 minutes of speech time. And he basically said, like, this guy, we aren't going to see another person like this in this lifetime to be so gifted athletically, an Olympian, won a gold medal, and is one of the most charismatic, funny individuals that you ever come across. Like everything that you would want in a superstar rolled into one. Cena was like, we're never gonna see anything like this in this lifetime. Probably not again. Probably, at least not in this lifetime. I mean, that was a good, strong setup for Kurt Angle. And I love how Kurt Angle had came out there, great ovation, and I love how the fans actually had chanted for him. They actually chanted immediately for him to come back and have one more match. But he was like, guys, I just came back. Can we like get through tonight first? I love that. That was a nice little spot that they had did. There were a lot of people that he had took the time out to thank. As I mentioned at the top of the show, he took the time to thank Jim Ross, also wished him nothing but love and prayers. And some breaking news had came about with regards to Jim Ross. I do want to share that with you all while we're talking about Jim Ross, because again, Jim Ross had got shown a lot of love verbally, even though there weren't many people that was like, hey, Jim Ross, condolences to you, buddy. Really, it was only Kurt Angle that said that. But as everybody was giving their acceptance speech, if you will, everybody couldn't help but mention and thank Jim Ross. So maybe that was respectfully their own way of kind of giving Jim a shout out. Who knows? I don't think they were given any type of specific instructions to not recognize his wife's passing. I don't think that was the case at all. To the point, some news had came about where apparently Jim Ross had signed a new deal with the WWE. He's going to be doing some exclusive match calling on WWE TV in the very near future. He's also going to be working on some network content. Also, even more reason you all need to check out WrestleMania this Sunday. He's actually going to be calling the Brock Lesnar Goldberg match. They actually made that announcement. He's actually going to be calling the Goldberg Brock Lesnar match. So that should be really, really freaking awesome. I can't wait for that moment, quite honestly. So Kurt Angle taking the time out to thank a lot of people. He thanked Jim. He thanked Dory Funk, Tom and Bruce Pritchard, Arn Anderson, Fit Finley, Steve Bradley, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, which got the instant delete. Love that. Only thing Kurt could do was just stand there like, yeah, yeah. But all the people that he thanked, Eddie Guerrero, Y2J, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Kane, Rikishi, his match with Brock Lesnar, thanking Brock Lesnar, thanking Kurt Angle, HBK. How can he thank himself, right? Right. HBK, Shawn Michaels is what I was trying to say. Randy Orton, John Cena, the crazy match that he had with Shane McMahon, wishing him help. So great moment that we saw right there. But the heart of the matter that really was like, wow, was the advice that Kurt Angle had gave to the younger talent on the WWE roster. And it was such a powerful statement. I love the opportunity that he took. He told them straight up, he said, you're going to make mistakes. The best thing that you can do. And I love how he did this, because he was almost talking in a way where he was almost kind of on the low, acknowledging some of these maybe sex tapes, these sex pic leaks that's floating around of WWE superstars and all that. You could kind of interpret it that way. But I love how he basically said, look, we all make mistakes. I've even made mistakes. Well, what you have to do going forward once you make those mistakes is learn from them. Do what you need to do to limit those mistakes. Limit future mistakes. Follow the rules. Try to use common sense. Very best to stay out of trouble. But most importantly, take chances. Take chances. You take enough chances when you get in the ring. I'm not talking about those type of chances, but take chances with your personality, with your character. And I like how he's just started doing the whole sticks that made him popular. He bust the hat out, Jimmy Crack Corn, I don't care. He bust out the wig and the helmet. He bust out the Kurt Angle song, the I'm just a sexy boy. He did his own little joint of that, or the Cena Kurt Angle rap. I like how he brought all of those things out and about, and it got the fans into it, and they're just singing along, or they're doing that segment word for word. But I love how he spun it back. I knew exactly where he was going with this, but I just wanted to just kick back and go, I see where you're going. Bring it home, man, bring it home. And I love how he just did all the silliness that made him so popular. And I love how he brought it all back and basically said, all of what I just did, these were moments. And you can have all the matches that you want. You can have all the great matches that you want that, will probably have fans saying, hey, that was a pretty good match. And it'll have them talking. But if you want to be remembered forever and ever, it's providing them memories like what I just went through with you all here. And his message to the young roster was just get out there, take chances, feed off of your personality, let your personality shine more in your character, take risk, take chances. And I tell you, man, I really hope that resonates well with the roster. I just was like, good words, Kurt. Damn good words. Kurt has always been seeing what's been happening with the WWE product, respectfully. I even like the nod that he gave to Daniel Bryan, saying how much of a phenomenal wrestler he is and everything. So, and I love how he said is and didn't say was. So, Kurt, you know something I don't know, buddy? I'm speculating. Don't mind me, but maybe he does. I don't know. But that was a really great emotional speech. And of course, it closed out with Kurt Angle bringing out 2 bottles of milk, splashing them bad boys, and boosh. That was pretty much it, man. That pretty much had ended the Hall of Fame ceremony. It was freaking phenomenal. I loved it. Overall, it was phenomenal. You see how fast we were able to go through all of that. We probably went like about an hour. I saved you guys almost like 3 hours, man. I saved you all like almost 3 hours. So if you didn't watch the Hall of Fame ceremony tonight, I saved you the trouble. Let me go and show some love to you guys that's in the chat right now, because I want to get you all's thoughts on some of the stuff that had happened. I'll definitely read some of what you all had said respectfully. And also, while I got you all's attention, I want to kindly remind you that this is pretty much it. You got until 11:59 p.m. Eastern, April 1st, to enter our 2016 RCWR Show Awards. Got some really cool prizes that's up for grabs. If you didn't check out the video yet, it's on the YouTube channel right now. So piggyback when you get done with this stream and check it out. A lot of cool prizes that are up for grabs. So enter it. I'm going to announce the bottom winners on our WrestleMania after show. And then the top winners will be announced on this coming Tuesday night's RCWR show. So our programming lineup, real quickly before I get to you all's interactions in the chat, I got to be honest with you guys. Our lineup got a lot of shows continuing to pump out. So Saturday night, I'll be live here on YouTube. I'll be covering NXT TakeOver Fallout. Sunday night, we got the WrestleMania after show. Monday night, exclusively here on YouTube. I will be coming on after Raw goes off the air. It's our yearly tradition. I usually come on after the WrestleMania, after the, what's the right words I'm trying to say? It's a fucking tongue twister. Basically, after the post WrestleMania Raw. Try saying that 10 times fast when you're trying to think that. And everything pretty much wraps up with that Tuesday's RCWR show. So let's get to you guys' interactions here in the chats, man. Shout out to Amber Rose. I also watched your Impact Wrestling review last night, and I commented on your review. It was good. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Did I say Amber? I don't have my glasses tonight. I might have to dust off my glasses in a second. Ambassador Rose. I can't believe I said Amber. How the hell do you get Amber out of Ambassador? My only excuse is I don't have my glasses tonight, and it is 1 o'clock in the morning. Work with me, people. Work with me. Ray, Hall of Fame was easy enough to watch in the background. No awfully long speeches like in the years past. Yeah, to the point. I am aware of the report that's floating around saying that Vince McMahon wants to seriously limit how many people go into the Hall of Fame. Maybe he might be doing that because he's running out of people. No, I doubt that. Maybe he wants to save on time. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the number one deal. And as I'm going through some of you all's comments here, if you haven't done so already, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do subscribe so you don't miss out on the great content do for you guys here on a weekly basis. See what else we got here. I see a lot of you guys are hoping that China is next to go in. Trexter's glad that we'll get to see Jim Ross at WrestleMania. Let's see what else we got going through here. 4 daughters. So Diamond Dallas Page has 4 daughters, according to Trexter and Byron. 4 daughters. Yeah, the son does look just like him, don't he, man? Looks just like him. Let's see. I don't. If it was China's year, I don't. No, only from the standpoint when you look at who all went in this year. When you look respectfully at who all had went in this year, I'm sorry, she would have been kind of overshadowed just a tad bit. You like almost to the point you kind of forget she was in there. So I don't know. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. Let's see what else we got. Yes, I agree with Ray. Shorter speeches always better. Yeah, there were definitely shorter speeches tonight. Everybody did a good job honoring it. Kane did not have to come out, basically acting like the Apollo Showtime at the Apollo Sandman. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't get to see Kane tonight. Let's see what else we got. Going through some more comments. Fly Freddy Lee never got a chance to apologize. Said my condolences to you and your respective families for the loss of your loved ones. Prayers and Godspeed, and your strong spirit to push through. Thanks for the kind words, Freddie. I appreciate that. Let's see what else we got here. Why do you deserve a shout out? What have you done to deserve a shout out? You just popped in here and you just want a shout out. I don't even see you saying anything else and you want a shout out. No, you don't get a shout out. Technically, you kind of did get a shout out. I just didn't mention your name. Let's see. Do I think Owen Hart will go in next year? Boy, I tell you, it seemed pretty freaking unanimous, didn't it? When we saw Beth Phoenix out there and she was saying what she was saying and talking about how it was WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart taking on Owen, that pretty much got the ball rolling and the fans fed into that and they were chanting Owen. Look, if the family or the widow, that is, we need to be brutally honest, it's all about his widow that's really being difficult right now. If she don't want to have anything to do, you know what? They can go on ahead without her. Just put him in posthumously. Hey, here to accept the award on Owen Hart's behalf, his brother, Bret Hart. Problem solved. That's basically how you do it. Let Brett accept the award. Who better to speak about Owen than Brett? Seriously. That is the easiest way you can do it, quite honestly. So I don't know. That's a tricky situation. I mean, I'd be all fine for it if they want to do it next year. I totally would be fine for it. Just to try to capitalize on what went down this year. Why not, man? Why not? Yeah, I agree with Caton 619, Kurt Angle, best speech of the night. Yeah, as far as where he went with that speech, his advice to the young roster, heck yeah, that definitely stood out to me the most. Beth Phoenix for sure, what she said respectfully. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got. Nah, Ray, I gave you two shout outs already, man. Ray, I gave you another one just for the hell of it. Yeah, let's make the other guy jealous. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Ray. All right, so we did good, man. Let's go ahead. Let's shut this bad boy down. Yeah. Oh wow, we almost got like an hour, 25 minutes in. Yeah, let's go ahead and shut this down. There's plenty more wrestling content. So look, we got the NXT Takeover event that's coming up. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR Show. I will be tweeting all night during the NXT Takeover event. So feel free to interact with me on there, and then come on back here on YouTube and we'll do it again. All right. So I'll catch you guys in a little bit. For those of you that maybe are going to pass on NXT, but you want to still hear my thoughts, tune in. Or WrestleMania night, Sunday night, I will be live on here and also live on Spreaker.com. That's going to do it. Wishing all y'all to be safe, be kind to one another. Remember, if you're new, welcome. Give me the likes, hit the subscribe button. Good night, good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Much love. Peace.